Welcome back. Two of the brightest minds in politics, Bill Carrick and Mike Murphy, a Democrat and a Republican, talking about the debate this past week, but also about a few other issues. Just finish up, though. When Bill, you know the former vice president pretty well. This is a guy who hasn't had really terrible debates, but he's yet to have a really good one. And there were moments where he started to interrupt himself on Thursday. Is that enough, or do you think that this could be, the death of 1,000 cuts for this candidate as we see him do this repeatedly?
You know, I think it's interesting. You read the stories when reporters go out in the field to start interviewing primary voters in South Carolina or Iowa caucus people or New Hampshire primary voters. You come back with a whole bunch of quotes about, I don't care about that. You know, a lot of the rank and file Democratic primary voters don't really see that as an issue. Now, hey, the people with their hair on fire are in the media. I mean, and of course, we're in our world of cable racket 24/7. A lot of it is just the cable chatter, and I don't know that voters really give a damn.
A lot of the young reporters, too, are watching social media feeds, forgetting that 60% of the Democratic primary voters are older, like Biden.
Right, and aren't on Twitter.
Yeah, that said, I think he's a very vulnerable front runner, because these national polls that show a lot of strength and affection for him are good, but if Elizabeth Warren, who has had the energy and the ascendancy, beats him in the Iowa caucus, if Joe can't pull off the comeback of a lifetime 8 days later in New Hampshire, I think it'll crumble, and then maybe one of the understudies will have a shot.
A landmark piece of legislation passed out of the California legislature. It's to be signed by the governor. It will essentially make those who are independent contractors, such as Uber and Lyft drivers, employees. The company says it's going to cost them $1 billion, and the Uber and Lyft haven't made any money. Is this going to be a ballot measure? Because
I think it's heading for the ballot. I think the companies, I have some friends there, they thought they had some sort of wink-wink deal with the governor. Doesn't look like they do. And their only shot is to take it to the ballot and fight this thing out, because it radically changes their business. It adds a lot of cost, which will run up the cost of the services, which already are not profitable. It also will incentivize the companies to get to autonomous vehicles as fast as possible to take the driver equation out. So the incentives are kind of crazy. I think they will, if cornered, go to the ballot, and it'll be a huge mega fight here, and the whole country will watch, because as you say, what happens here often goes other places.
And I think the other, to Conan's point, there's the image is that they're very successful companies. That's what everybody thinks, and now the reality is totally different. So we're dealing with sort of make-believe here, and we're gonna find out where this goes. Who knows?
Right, and it's a rare occasion, or so it would seem to me, of an industry where voters have a direct contact with the people who are impacted. It's the Uber driver. It's the Lyft driver. So they will hear, and I hear stories, because I take it, I hear stories that they cut my pay or they cut the reimbursement, which is bad, but I don't want to be an employee. This works for me because I can drive whenever I want to, and if I'm scheduled, it doesn't work. And so voters will actually have that kind of interaction with the people who are affected.
It is possible. Go ahead.
We have the law of unintended consequences, as with newspapers and everything else are going to be affected. The people that deliver the newspapers are contract employees.
There is an argument in an initiative campaign that, hey, drivers, why don't we pay you a little more? Consumers will pay a little more, but that's a lot better than making consumers pay a lot more if you're unionized and have your number of rides drop through the floor because people can't afford them anymore. So at the end, drivers could be the winner in this thing with some pay increases. We'll see. This could be a huge, huge battle.
Right, but if it goes to the ballot, sales departments at TV stations will also be the winners.
We'll have a new paint job here for sure. Everything will be gilded, silver and gold.
They're popping the corks in the back right now.
Mike Murphy and Bill Carrick, two great minds. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Conan.
I appreciate it. We'll have some final comments after this.